everyone, and welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. I am joined today by Barker from Be a Better Game Master and James from Tabletop Terrors. They're going to help me kick off a new video series here on the channel, one that I will make 2 episodes of and then never do again. It's going to be really great. It's going to be called Telltale Trinkets, and I am unabashedly ripping off Tabletop Terrors here. They have a great series called Splatbook Roulette, where they open up a random page in a RPG book and talk about whatever their fingers land on. We're going to do kind of a similar thing here, drumming up some inspiration, being creative, collaborating. We're going to roll on the trinket table in the D&D 5th Edition Player's Handbook.
Yes.
The trinkets are one of my favorite things in 5th Edition.
I love them. So good.
I pick one for every character I make.
Oh, absolutely.
I pick like 99.
So what is the GM going to say?
You pick 99?
I
So
take 99.
you actually roll for the one your character
rolls.
doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And I
gotcha.
try to find that one. That's always my motivation.
You gotta catch them all.
You gotta catch them all.
They're great for just having just a weird kind of random thing that you have to think about. Well, how did my character get this? Why is it important to them? Why are they carrying it around? That sort of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll a random trinket on the table. We have the D percentile here. We're going to roll a random trinket, and we're going to come up with something. A character, a plot hook, a location, an item, something that has to do with the trinket or connects to the trinket in some way.
Awesome.
So I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Dude.
We're going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to let one of these guys roll the first trinket for Telltale Trinkets.
Before we do it,
Yeah.
okay, it's not just the 3 of us that are actually going to be doing this video.
I almost forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. He was him, not me. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
But we have a guest remoting in via paper plate, straight from the Orlando area.
Yes.
We have Tim's face.
Just his face.
Anytime, just his face.
Just his face.
Anytime that we think that Tim would be able
Right
to
now
chime
is
in,
probably like right when I would.
yeah, he would exactly. He'd be like, no, wait, no, you go ahead.
Now hang on.
No, I'll go.
Is that how we're going to do this?
No, wait. Be like,
No, I told you to ask this earlier.
this is a fistful of dice video.
Yeah.
And he would make this face. But no, anytime we think that Tim would like to chime in because he can't be here, we're bummed about that.
Yeah.
We're going to pick this up and we're going to talk for Tim.
Yes.
So we can have a 4th opinion.
That's right. But to be fair, four men would not fit on this couch.
No.
They wouldn't.
We would be somewhere else right now.
Only if.
One of us would be
Never
across
mind.
the lap.
Yes, that's true.
Like
We'd
some
be
sort of
making-
like a high school volleyball team picture.
Or an album cover.
Or an album cover.
Of something, I don't know what.
Which
band.
album have you seen that a guy is laying across 3
I
other
was-
people's laps?
I was thinking the Beatles, where they're all walking across the street, and I was like,
Okay.
that'd be great if John were
If John
carried.
were carried. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotcha. All right. Yeah, that's fair.
Now I get why your videos are so long. See,
He's doing it. He's not even here. All right, so I'm going to let one of these guys roll the first Telltale Trinket.
Tabletop Terrors were awesome, and they let me hit their timer on their video.
So James...
So I'm going to do it for this, too.
Oh!
No, I'm kidding.
No, we'll just eat for one.
No, it was a joke. It was a joke. There's
Now-
2 dice here.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. Tim doubles as a dice tray.
Oh!
Geez.
You're rolling into the front of his skull.
Yeah.
No, I want you to do
We
it.
both have one. I get to
Both
do
of
it
you
too.
please roll it.
Gee, now I owe him still.
We're not even.
I made it out of
Fucked it up.
the.
Made it out of the dice tray.
I fucked. No.
That was cocked. You have to roll it again.
Shut it down!
It
I
was.
didn't know that it landed on the same.
It landed on the same
If
number.
this is a 10, the devil is with us.
It's not.
Whew, that was close.
43.
Yeah.
43.
43. What is that?
So 43 is a tiny silver bell without a clapper.
What is a clapper on a
So
bell?
the clapper is the thing inside the bell that actually makes the bell sound.
There are only like 3 pieces of a bell. There's
Yeah,
a bell,
Well,
the
yeah, but-
handle,
Maybe.
and then the noser.
And then the
and then the
noser,
and
the
then the
trotters.
trotters.
So it's
Globetrotters.
a tiny silver bell that cannot make a sound. Well, it doesn't say it cannot make a sound. It just says it doesn't have a clapper.
Oh.
So the first thing I'm thinking of is maybe the bell still makes a sound,
That was good.
but doesn't have a clapper.
Okay, see, I was gonna do the what I feel like is a kind of common trope. You take something, in this case a bell, you take out the thing that makes it make noise.
Yeah.
And so it is an item that makes you make less noise. So like it's an item that you carry around, and it's weird, just kind of a random. But if you have it, you don't make any noise. You know, you're kind of very silent.
So it like muffles your footsteps.
yeah,
Okay.
it's like a muffle spell.
A muffle spell. Okay, so I like this. So
I like that a lot.
maybe this is some sort of artifact from like a thieves guild or a famous rogue or something like that.
Yeah.
That this person has. So how did they come by this artifact then, do you think?
So I think it was in a child's nursery. That was
Okay.
what it was originally used for, to keep the room quiet so the children don't wake
okay.
up. Maybe
was
multiple
never-
children were in this room. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't intended to be
It
like, hey,
wasn't.
we're going to make this so we can steal a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
No. Wow.
Wow.
No.
Completely just
Mundane.
Mundane.
Yes,
Mundane
mundane.
magical item.
Yeah, a mundane magical item.
I like the
Exactly.
idea, though, that it's in an orphanage. Because you know what that means? That means that orphan that your player is playing right now
Yeah.
stole that freaking bell.
Stole
and
the
that's
bell.
why they're a rogue.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so the character is an orphan. They grew up in this orphanage. Maybe the orphanage is called the
Orange Orphanage.
Orange Orphanage.
I don't know if that's what Tim would say.
No, I don't
He would say
think
something
not.
better.
He would say something along
God
those
dang it. Sorry, Tim.
lines.
We're doing our best.
Misrepresenting. No, I think that's a really cool idea. And I'm going to throw another idea in the works. As a DM, you know what I would do here?
Yeah.
Is I would have a villain or an antagonist also have one of these bells.
Oh, okay.
To the point where the character is like, do I know this person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
obviously came from the same orphanage.
Yes.
Or like, hey,
There was a
took-
reason.
You took that bell from the orphanage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
and then they, maybe they find out that they did know each other. Maybe they were friends. Maybe they went down different paths.
Maybe that's why he's following him.
You know what's-
something about your parents or
Yep.
something. Maybe.
And
Exactly.
you could always do flashbacks to the orphanage with that character,
Mhm.
and then maybe the character or the player doesn't know what's going to happen in those
Yeah.
flashbacks, and you're slowly introducing them to the story
Yeah.
while they're discovering the villain in current time.
I'm thinking a scene where the characters think about, hey, we could use these bells to get some extra like cookies from the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they like work together. They're like, okay, they take the bell from their sleeping quarters, take the bells, sneak into the kitchen. They're taking cookies and stuff, completely innocent. And then back to the present when they're like running around trying to kill each other.
Like
with
they're
bells.
still like heisting cookies.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still
Creating
hiding
an
cookies.
addiction.
And the reason why the antagonist wants to kill the protagonist is because he ate that one extra cookie that day. They were going to split it,
Yes.
but he didn't split it.
That was-
Or he split it in half and he chose the other half.
That's
when
exactly
when
what it
it's
was.
traditional to the person who splits doesn't get to pick.
Yeah, no, he got the one with the sprinkles on the side.
Yeah,
He was
he's
like,
like, what?
I'm
he didn't
gonna-
break it the right way.
Yeah.
We could have both got
We
sprinkles.
could have gotten sprinkles, but you all got all of them.
someday I'm gonna murder your parents. Oh shit.
It was a black and white cookie, and instead of giving two, like half of each, like no, I get the black part. You get the white
You
part.
get the white part, exactly.
I had another idea.
Yeah.
So, this is sort of just a tip that I was just thinking of, is imagine as a GM interacting with one of your players' trinkets.
Mhm.
Specifically
Yep.
in this case.
Yeah.
This is a bell that does that. It is that, magical item, very sort of mundane style magical item, and then one day it begins ringing. They're
Ooh,
walking,
yeah.
especially if a player's trying to use
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
And suddenly the clapper does come back, and it's ringing like a normal
Yes.
bell, and they're making more noise than they would have.
Yeah.
And then it's something like, somebody's trying to find them through it, or it's, its usefulness was up, or maybe the original owner that created it, it was tied to his life
Yep.
force.
Yeah.
So he died, and all those bells, started just being regular bells.
Or they're like getting closer to something that's
Yeah,
activating
exactly.
it. Yeah. I
Kind of like
that
the tuning
idea.
fork in the resistor slave.
Yes. Yes. Very similar.
So one thing that's cool about trinkets, though, is that it's fun to not know what something is.
Yeah.
Even if you're the DM, it's fun to not know. It's especially fun for the character to not know what it is.
Yeah.
So maybe the character doesn't come from the orphanage, but slowly finds out that it does,
Where it comes from.
and finds out that someone else has one exactly like it from that orphanage. And they're going to do some investigation at the orphanage, interviewing people that used to live there to try to find out who the hell is, I don't know, stealing all robbing all the graves or something like that. Whatever villain is following them.
Yeah. Well, and I like the idea too of like not necessarily the character not knowing, but also the player not knowing.
Yes.
Like, don't feel like if you roll your trinket, you're like, well, now I got to come up with a backstory for this trinket.
Yep.
It's like, no, feel free to like find out what that means later on. Like in the Dragon Green campaign that Tim is running,
Yes.
my character Ephraim has a chess piece, and it's like the only thing he has from his dad. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
I have no
Yep.
idea why he has a chess piece from his dad, but I'm like really looking forward to finding out.
Yep.
Another thing you can do is, as a GM, roll a trinket and have somebody find it. It
Yep.
doesn't necessarily have to be just for the players, but again, especially if you don't know what it is, just leave it. And if somebody finds it interesting enough, if you mention, there's a few gold pieces, a doll with pins stuck in it, and a few other, an old rusty sword.
That's
If they hang on to that, make something happen to it later, or make it come up, mention it, sort of weave it into the story, and it'll feel, a little more realistic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so Telltale Trinkets.
Yeah.
What is the name of this orphanage? I like the idea that the second name, like it's two names, and the second name is the name of, like a synonym for prestigious school. Because even the worst orphanages are, I assume, called academies or something. You know?
Right. What about like the Silver Silence Academy?
Silver Silence Academy,
which ties to the bell being quiet.
Yep.
Little silver bell. I like that. That's kind of
Silver
cool.
Silence. I love that. That's really neat.
Yeah.
So
you can always tell a Silver Silence, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All. I was gonna say the Bellevue Academy.
The Bellevue
I
Academy.
feel like that is if you're not playing a really cool game.
Yeah.
Bellevue. Yeah.
If you're kind of going for the boring style game.
You're like, oh,
Bellevue Academy is a good
It's
name
called
for
the Bell Orphanage.
So, if the goal is to come up with a history of this, why are there 2 in the orphanage?
Why are there 2 bells in the
Why are
orphanage?
there 2 bells instead of just 1?
I think there's multiple areas probably in the orphanage, multiple sleeping areas maybe.
Okay.
Maybe there's it is a mundane magical item. It's not all powerful, and so it might be one of these things like maybe the orphanage contracted out like a low-level wizard, and they're like, "Can you cast silence on like 50 bells?" And he's like, "Sure, it's going to cost like 100 gold. It'll take me a month to do it."
Cool.
And so they just have a bunch of these things, and maybe like the magic wears off, and they toss it out, bring out a new one. It's like a light bulb basically that they just have to keep replacing. And so maybe they found the stash of bells, or maybe there's multiple bells hanging around to keep things quiet.
I like that. Yeah, for sure. Also, there might have been like 2 head orphanage adults.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
One for each of them.
Yeah, headmasters who each have a bell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This brings up sort of maybe an entirely a much broader topic, but it's the kind of thing where maybe it's a recipe that that like you said they contracted out a wizard that came up with this sort of recipe for the silence bell.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're not everywhere. It's not something that he patented, but you could find the recipe and have somebody make you one.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing where it would work the same way. You could have that magic item in your game.
Yeah.
But then it brings up a whole different thing of like, well, imagine recipes in games of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whether like little things like that, like a scroll of make my dagger glow.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no, I went and got that done, and it's gonna wear off. I literally just stopped by a store, and a wizard will just cast light on my sword, and then I laugh for 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what about this too? What if it's a specific kind of metal that has this property?
What about your star steel? I know that said silver, because that's the thing. The trinket itself said silver.
It's and the way I take that is like, okay, maybe it's not actually silver. Maybe
silver
it's silver in color,
exactly, yeah.
But maybe it's a different kind of metal and maybe if you have a sword that's made out of that metal and you're just like, you're slicing through people, it's just like
nothing.
Wind.
Nothing.
Just like completely
And
slicing.
it could actually be
The only thing you hear are the screams.
It could be like a regional thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not like everybody has this. It's just this one place has a metal that sort of is quiet. Doesn't reflect sound.
Steel.
There's no like reverb. If you like build a house out of it.
It's called still steel.
Yeah.
Still
Steel is awesome.
Steel.
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 Or another thing I just thought of. Here's another. See.
Okay, so many.
I was gonna say. I just want to say that the reason we decided on a timer for Splat Blue Rat
is because this won't go on forever.
Yes.
Maybe
I'm not saying I mind.
We might have to enact a timer at some point. But another idea I've had is like, the PC could be in a shop. There's one in the shop looking around for something. I gotta buy some healing potions or something.
Mm-hmm.
They see one of the bells like in the miscellaneous shelf.
They're waiting on their healing potion.
Yeah, they're waiting on their healing potions prescription. Like it's gonna be about 15 minutes. He's like, seriously, I called it in beforehand. And there's a bell sitting on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, wait a minute. He picks it up. He's like, that's my bell.
Yep.
It's the same exact bell. And he's like, where did this come from? He's like, oh, some old geezer sold it to me 2 days ago.
A hooded cloak.
Yeah, a hooded and cloaked figure came in and sold it to me 2 days ago, and he went to the west.
He gave it me. It was for free. It was very interesting. It was almost like he was trying to
Have you played D&D
put
before?
a plot hook.
Have you played D&D before? He went due west. He said he was something of raving about goblins in the tunnels.
Oh man, now I just want to play in a bad GM game of Matt. Like Matt, I need you to be your worst GM.
Oh,
It'll be so much fun.
that would it would turn into just like a really fun campaign.
Exactly,
really
it would just be fun and campy D&D.
Yeah.
We sort of covered a lot here.
Yes.
The bell could be something that was a magic item, which is
Mm-hmm.
mostly what we went with. The trinkets can also just be something that sort of ends up mattering to the story. I touched on this briefly before, but it was still a magic item. But the idea that especially if you get your players' character sheets and you have them, roll for a trinket, knowing what they have, you could maybe pick someone out, specific, someone with this bell, and sort of weave it into the story.
Mm-hmm.
Where it would, if they had it, it is better, and if they didn't, it didn't matter. If they never sort of put it together. But the idea, similar to what you said, Matt, earlier about if someone else has one, find a way to make it clear that the other person has one, but leave it at that.
Yeah.
Or, that someone else has one.
Yeah. So I like the idea of applying it to the story, and I think that's what we should do.
Yeah.
And I think we should come up with one very small entrance for this one item into the story, so it doesn't hog up the entire epic campaign.
Right. Right.
And then one that hogs up the entire epic campaign.
Okay. So
like
one
rule, one ring to rule them all.
Yeah.
And one this bell
Silver
is
bell
made
like
out
that.
of this type of metal that was mined from this area, I think.
Yeah.
And I need you to go find it.
Yeah.
Like, find this metal because we need to make weapons as hell out of
Yes.
this.
Weapons as hell.
That is a
Even-
small entrance into the
I'll
game.
take it even one step before find. If you come across,
Yeah.
that's just the
Yeah,
good
if
old,
you
like,
happen, if you find
any,
yeah.
please let us know,
Exactly.
and then it
Yeah.
becomes a larger part of the story later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's a one ring to rule them all-esque type of...
For a bell
Yeah.
like this, I think I would definitely go with like some sort of legendary figure that was known for his sword
Okay, cool.
that had a tiny little bell just hanging off the pommel. Like
I like that.
and then for some reason that bell is really, really important. Maybe it'll lead you to find the
How
sword.
about that bell, that sword, that type of weapon attached to this bell, is a traditional weapon of a cult or some sort of religious order whose church bells are all made of this material.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how you know you're in this place when the church bell doesn't have a clapper.
You just see him just.
You just see them swaying, the swaying bells.
That
sounds too much fun.
That's a little.
The Swaying Bells
The
Church.
Swaying Bells Church. There's a reason why they have a huge congregation.
That's a little Bellevue orphanage.
A little
Bellevue Academy.
That's
for me.
in Belltown.
I just thought it was too much like balls.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay,
thinking
alright,
too.
cool.
Yeah. Now what's it? Okay, so that's a big one.
Yes.
Okay, but I would even go as far as to say the difference here is that in one of them it's a little thing that was for an orphanage that somebody casts something on and it wears off. It's like a light bulb. In the legendary one, it's like, no, this makes you untraceable.
Yeah.
Like it's not just sound at this point. It's like just in general, your foot steps are silent. You're basically it's complete silence around you.
Yeah.
But also you don't leave tracks in the snow.
People see you and forget they saw you.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now,
It's
how
like
about-
it could be crazy legendary.
Yeah.
How about something ironic, though, for that? The only people that can see you or that can trace you are the members of this order who always know where their members are. Maybe it's an assassin's guild, and somebody is purging the entire order.
Okay.
So you're always, like you mentioned earlier, I think it was you, who said they're going to be after you if you have the bell. They're going to be looking for you.
Yeah.
You won't know why. Especially if you do this sort of as a different part of the campaign. Like, somebody tried to kill you. They're from this weird order. And, like, even if the character doesn't realize at this point that that's their trinket. If they forgot, they rolled for it. And that's it.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, you get the bell. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, like, it's just this crazy
Yes.
side plot. It'd be really cool.
I think
Absolutely.
that's a funny idea of like introducing the bell and making it a big deal. And the one guy at the table is like sitting there at his character sheet like listening, and then he like looks at his character sheet.
Oh, it's a
Oh, I have one. They're after me.
Yes.
Now I rolled that 5 levels ago.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Now, one thing you might do really quick.
Yeah.
One last thought.
Huh?
I know.
Now
that's what
listen.
he said. That's
This
what he
is-
said.
Now listen.
One
We're
last
going to
thought.
end on this. No, so we're going to end on this. That's what it's in.
One last thought is, your player might, in the middle of this plotline, think, you know what, I have a really good idea for this bell. It was given to me by my grandmother, and it's silent, or no, it chimes really loudly or something. And you're like, ooh. So you might approach your player beforehand and be like, you know what, if you don't have a really cool idea for that bell, I do.
I was thinking about something.
Yeah,
exactly.
let them know, because if you have this awesome plot line or whatever, and they just do this awesome other thing, it can be a little,
Oh,
Yeah.
so you had 2 bells maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you're looking-
I see.
Then you look at your other person's trinket and you're like, we're going to do the same thing with a bit of folded cloth that, when unfolded, turns into a stylish cap.
Oh.
All the
That's not
assassins
that definitely belonged to the Dark Lord. It's like
flat brimmed,
yeah.
gold sticker. It's perfect.
Pulls into a Stetson. My lady.
Oh, my lady.
Okay, so that is Telltale Trinkets.
Yep.
That just 3 people just came up with like 15 different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them pretty cool.
I thought they were pretty cool.
About one trinket in the book, and there's 100 of these in this book alone. That's just an example of what you can do with a trinket and how fun it can be to include that in your character. Don't forget to roll your trinkets. Like it's at the back of the equipment section. Always roll a trinket for a character. And like James was saying, as a DM, it's great for if you want your PCs to find something just kind of random and cool, roll a trinket and have them find that. So
Yeah, awesome.
there's going to be more Telltale Trinkets to come, I'm sure. But until that time, everyone take care and happy gaming.